This is episode number 53 with Lexi Davidson. Welcome to the Glow Life podcast. I'm your host, Martina Fink, holistic health and beauty coach, Glow Camp retreat host, and eco lifestyle lover. I'm here to inspire you to live a glowing life day in and day out because you deserve the best life ever. Every week, I'll be interviewing international influencers, wellness pioneers, and health and beauty experts who are using their special gifts to make a difference in the world so you can feel healthy, confident, empowered, and beautiful. Okay, let's glow, girl. Welcome back to the Glow Life podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Martina Fink from martinafink.com, and today we're talking about something really cool that I think is going to open up lots of good things for you. We're already 1 month almost into the new year, and I wonder where you're at. How are you feeling? Have you thought this is what the first month would turn out? Have you already given up on some of the resolutions or goals that you have set for yourself? Think back and just take a moment to reflect around how you're feeling right now, because I think we don't take enough time for that. And yeah, it's just so much easier to just get wrapped up, and it's just so much easier to just get caught up with the day and the busyness of life, and yeah, just, be in that rut again that we thought we would be able to break on January 1st. So sometimes we fall back into old patterns, and sometimes we hold on to old things, beliefs, people that keep us stuck. And what I want to talk about today is letting go. I'm sure you've heard of that before, especially around the new year. That was the topic everyone was talking about. Let go of the old year and make space for the new things and all of that stuff. And I just want to talk about this a little bit more, especially now that we're 1 month into the new year. And it's just so easy to think, well, I'm just going to try next time, or I'm going to wait until 2020. 2020 is really going to be my year, So where you still have 11 months to change everything in your life. So often we hold on to things and experiences or people, ideas, beliefs that we have from the past. So maybe in 2018, you had an experience that really hurt you, or you had this belief that you can never make it happen for yourself, or that you don't have enough money. Whatever it is that comes to mind first is probably something that you're holding on to. So when we hold on to things, it's almost like physically holding on. Imagine you have your two hands and you're holding on to this belief. Really create that picture in your head. Think about how you are holding on to this experience or this person or that feeling or even that thought or that belief. And you're really holding on to it because it's just scary to let it go. Because when we let things go that no longer serve us, that means we're going to be in the unknown. We're going to be in a space where we don't really feel safe. And that's because we're leaving our comfort zone. When we leave our comfort zone, it always feels uncomfortable. And that's why when we leave the comfort zone, we're going out of the comfort zone. We're doing something we haven't done before. That's a really uncomfortable feeling. And it can feel scary. It can also feel a little bit exciting, but usually it feels scary. So when we hold on to something, it really blocks you from receiving new things, because when you think about it, you are holding on to something with your hands. So that means even if something fell into your hands, you wouldn't be able to catch it because your hands are busy holding on to that one thing or experience or person, right? So this is why letting go is so important, because that allows us to have our hands free again. That allows us to be open for new things, for new people, for new beliefs. Whereas when we hold on to those negative things and experiences, we're never going to be able to experience something positive because we are not opening up. We're not allowing things to happen to us. So that is why I love to say, let go and glow, because when you are really able to release those negative things, emotions, beliefs, people, experiences, when you're able to let go of those, you are going to create that space for yourself to create new things. when you are ready to receive what the universe or God, has to offer, you are going to step into that glow. You are going to be open for new things. You're going to go into life feeling excited because you know that things are going to happen for you. You know that whatever life throws at you, you're going to receive it with your open hands or open arms. So I want you to think about that when you really want to create a glowing life, when you really want to experience that glow and how that feels, on a daily basis. You need to be able to open up. You need to be able to let go so that you can receive that glow, so that you can feel that glow that you already have inside of you. So this is not about like adding a ton of makeup or changing your wardrobe at all. Like this is all about you taking responsibility for what you believe in, for what is in your physical environment. So like, yes, clothes are important because they impact the way you feel and they say a lot about you. So maybe there's something there you need to let go of so you can create more space for new glow in your life. So think about that in your physical world, but also in your emotional world, in your mental world, and just think about where are things in your life that you are holding on to. And we usually do that out of fear. We're holding on to things because we're scared that if we lose those things, we're going to be uncomfortable, lonely, sad, disappointed. So we're holding on to those things out of fear. And I just recommend maybe you take a journal right now, stop the episode and think about what it is that you're holding on to and that you're willing and ready to let go so that you can let go and glow. I would love to see that coming to life in this first month of the year. You don't have to wait until next year. You don't have to wait until the new month. You can always start now. And now let's get started with my guest today, Lexi Davidson, who is the voice behind Lexi's Clean Kitchen, the go-to food blog for clean and delicious recipes, overall clean living that shows readers that living a healthy lifestyle can be simple, fun, and above all, satisfying. After discovering firsthand the healing power of food, Lexi was inspired to create recipes that omit negative health instigators like gluten, dairy, grains, and refined sugars, and she inspires readers to get creative in their kitchen. In today's episode, we talk about all things clean eating and clean living, how skincare is connected to your gut, why reading the ingredient labels is so important, how to add more immunity boosting foods to your diet, and so much more. And you can find everything we talk about today in the show notes at martinafink.com/podcast/53. Welcome, Lexi. I am so excited to have you on the show today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us everything about how Lexi's Clean Kitchen started.
I thought you were going to say, tell me everything about you. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be here forever. So Lexi's Clean Kitchen started in 2013. I had all sorts of stomach and gut issues going on. And I was like, something needed to change. It got to a point where it was really affecting my life and my day-to-day, everything. So I decided to, before I sought out doctors and really figured out like the deeper root, I don't know why I went this route, but I was like, I'm going to cut out foods that I know can cause inflammation in the body. So I must have heard somewhere like gluten, grains, dairy. So I did my research and I first decided I was going to cut out gluten and dairy and just see what happens. And my husband was like, yeah, right. Like, there's no way you're not going to like reach for the bread basket at dinner. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I feel so horrible. Like, I'm going to give it a try. So this was January 2013. So I cut out gluten and dairy. And like pretty quickly, I noticed a difference in my digestion, how I was feeling, energy, all of that. But it was for sure not 100%. But it was like on the road. I was like, okay, something's moving in the right direction here. So then I cut out grains. I just did more of like an elimination diet, grains, refined sugar, soy. So kind of like a paleo style diet. Then from there, I was like, I was healing my gut through food. It like changed my life. It was really amazing. But I was like, I need to go to some functional medicine doctors, see some doctors, and kind of figure out what the root cause of what was actually going on. I needed like that last like 5%, 10% of help. So I found out that I had candida, which is a bacterial overgrowth that feeds on yeast and sugar, and just some like few other like hormonal things that were going on. So I'm like, okay, all of this makes sense. Really glad I found these doctors that I could trust. But I was like, now I'm not eating all these different things. And I still want to be able to eat foods that I loved and was used to eating, like pizza or bread or, I don't know, whatever it may be. So I started just developing recipes that I was cooking for me and my husband, boyfriend at the time, now husband, and family when they would come over and whatnot, taking my like family recipes, reinventing them to the way that was like going to work for my new lifestyle choices. And I decided to start an Instagram account, but it was not like a business decision by any means. It was like a Lexis 916. It was like just, I was like, you know what? I'm going to put out recipes out there, like with my crappy iPhone 3 or whatever I had camera, and maybe it'll help someone like it helped me because there weren't that many resources out there then. So I started this Instagram account and like every day there would be like hundreds of new people showing up being like, hey, and I was writing the recipe right in the caption. So people would be like, do you have a place where we could find all of your recipes? And I was like, no, they're right here on Instagram. And I was like, wait, maybe I should just make a website so I can have a place for them to live because everyone keeps asking. So in June 2013, I made LexisCleanKitchen.com, and it just kind of took off. It really was a place that would like help people, whether it was like people who had allergies, people who had autoimmune issues, people who just wanted to eat healthier and have more energy, people whose doctors were like, cut out gluten, it might help you with your back pain, like totally random. So I feel like Lexi's Clean Kitchen is kind of unique as it has people from all the different spaces kind of coming to, not just like allergy friendly people and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I started it then until like June of 2013. And then, maybe like a year and a half later, I got my book deal. I left my teaching job and it just kind of all skyrocketed. So now it's my full-time gig.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's the short ramble of a story.
Love it. And it's so interesting how fast we can react to foods. I almost eat everything, but I always listen to how I feel about the food. So then when I eat crap, like I notice it instantly. And when following that, I drink like a green juice. My digestion is just like back on track. And it's so crazy. It doesn't take 3 months to see and test how it feels. It's like you see it in the next 24 hours mostly.
Totally. And, for me at this point, I'm like a drop more flexible than when I was really strict in healing my stomach. But then I'll notice, like, I'm like, okay, I'll have some brown rice pasta, like with dinner. So I make this whole pasta dish, right? And then I have leftovers for like 3 days, and then I eat it for 3 days. And then my stomach is like, no, like way too much. I'm like, okay, I overdid it. I could do a little like gluten-free pasta, but I can't do it for 3 days in a row. So it's just interesting how our body reacts. And, for me forever, I was like, okay, this is what it is. And now I know that like sugar is worse for me than anything. So it's just like funny how things just change. That's why I don't love to put labels on like, because then let's say make something that has beans in it, like a soup. And people are like, but that's not paleo. I'm like, but if you could tolerate it, be intuitive, like listen to your body. Like if you can handle it, maybe it doesn't have to make up your whole diet, but just because it's not in this like strict, platform of a diet, or I'm putting up quotation marks, but no one could see me doing that. Then, people are like, I can't eat that. And it's like, let's step back. Let's listen to our bodies. Let's be intuitive eaters. Let's do what works for us and not just what we think is we're supposed to be doing,
Yeah. So I would love to talk about inflammation a bit more. Where does inflammation come from? Because I believe probably most people are inflamed and don't even know it, but what are specific foods that cause inflammation that we can be a little bit more aware of?
Yeah. And when I say this, like take it with a grain of salt, because not everyone needs to go crazy and cut out all these different things from their diet. But yeah, like gluten, grains, dairy, soy, refined sugar, all that stuff is known to cause inflammation, but that doesn't mean it will for everyone. It doesn't mean they all will for everyone. But for me, my gut was I had leaky gut so bad. Leaky gut if you imagine your gut as like a circle with like holes punctured in it, and like everything getting through it is like going into your body, and your body's like, wait, that's not supposed to be there. Inflammation, it's like a reaction because it's like there's all these little holes punctured in your gut lining, and that's like you got. So I swear, I would eat like a blueberry. And I'd be like, what the heck? My stomach is destroyed. And it would be like anything because my gut was so compromised that anything I ate was going to bother it. So at that point, it didn't even matter if it was gluten-free, this, that. It was like my stomach was so in bad shape that it was like anything was going to bother it. So cutting out foods that caused inflammation that I knew helped heal the gut along with supplements and, random other things I decided to do at that time, but really helped heal what I had going on and heal some of that inflammation. And so, it just takes a little figuring out, but yeah, it's pretty amazing how much of this stuff we consume in our diet. And that's why it's like, I think so much more prevalent now, how much stuff is processed and how much crap we eat. So, okay, we can control what we put in our body. So like, if we know something we're not tolerating something, just like we can control what we put on our skin, and you're in the cleaner beauty world. Safer kind of stuff world. So you get that. It's like, we can control what we put in our body. It's like, why wouldn't we? That's like something we can control. There's so many things we can't in our environment, and with disease and sickness, it's like, we can help our bodies.
Yeah, we are the only ones who can help our bodies, to be honest.
Totally.
So clean eating is definitely your thing. And can you tell more about what clean eating really is? Because it's clearly not like a strict, restrictive form of diet. What exactly is clean eating?
Yeah. Clean eating, like in its essence, in its overall form, is just removing processed foods and replacing them with real whole foods. Like, that's what I say is like the bottom line. And of course, it can stray into different avenues, but at the bottom line, it's like, okay, we're reading labels, we're removing processed foods, we're eating real food. And it might take a little more prep work or a little more of this, but it's not, people are like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to go out to eat? I'm like, you're just not getting, burritos. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting good quality meat or fish or vegetables and, stuff like that. And it's, once you like get the hang of it, and once you realize that like you feel great, it's becomes easier, as you can imagine. But it's not a strict diet. It's totally like and when I talk to people about it in my clean eating challenges and all that, it's like, this should be sustainable. This should not be something that you do for 30 days and then it's like, bring on the junk food. It's like, it's just a lifestyle choice. It's like little changes here and there. It doesn't have to be crazy drastic. Clean eating doesn't mean you have to eliminate all these different things. It obviously depends what you have going on in your body and all that stuff. But in its essence, it's removing processed foods and eating real food.
So simple. So simple. Things I hear sometimes from I'm a huge advocate of eating organic foods and like getting rid of toxins and chemicals in your food, like in your vegetables and fruits. So I sometimes have discussion with my clients where they're like, I can't afford organic foods. What would you say to someone who has money issues around spending money on better quality foods?
That's like that. Honestly, I love this question because when I started Lexi's Clean Kitchen, when I started eating this way, period, all those years ago, there were not that many resources out there. And it was expensive. And I was a teacher. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I was like, okay, I know I need to invest in my health. And this is like a change I'm going to make. But the best part about it is it's so much more affordable now. I mean, there's places like, there's like Butcher Box that has good quality meat that gets delivered to your door at an affordable price. There's Thrive Market where you can get all these like, and you could sort by vegan or paleo or gluten-free or just healthy home stuff. And it's like 25 to 50% cheaper than stores, and it's like the more demand there is for it, right? Like the cheaper prices are going to be. So I remember when grass-fed beef was like $11.99. And now you can get it for like $6.99. So it's the more demand for sure. And I agree with you with the organic stuff. Of course, there's some things that you don't have to buy organic. That is just like, okay, that is one I don't need to buy organic. But obviously things that don't have like a peel or any of that, and thinking about the chemicals and toxins. And that's why I like soy and corn and things that are genetically modified. It's like, let's just be aware. Let's like just give almost like some education and some talk around it. But what I would say to somebody who is on a budget is it might take a little planning and it might take a little more digging and finding, but it is so much more affordable than ever before. And it's really, it makes me so happy. Like if people could see the smile on my face, because that's like my one thing. I'm like, I want this to be affordable and budget friendly for people. So I'm going to give the people listening of my free pantry staples guide that's in my cookbook. I have a PDF version, which I'll send to you. And that really helps people. Like it kind of is like, okay, if I'm going to swap out my pantry, I'm going to get rid of the junk. I'm going to focus on these ingredients. And so now I have my list. And now it's like, all right, let me just do a little research and find where I could get it on a budget, you know?
Yeah. And I think also when it comes to clean eating, it's a lot of unprocessed vegetables and fruits and all of that stuff. Yeah, it is more expensive than regular produce, but it's not crazy. Like you're saving money when you just add in more vegetables and fruits versus and kind of letting go of all the processed stuff like chocolate and chips and all these things that are packaged and processed are so expensive compared to a pack of apples.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like I see in the store, like zucchini noodles, like pre-made, and like you could just buy a zucchini and you can just do it yourself, you know, but totally. And like, you know, but then there's ways around that too. Like I belong to a CSA. I pick up my produce and like, they're like, okay, take 20 pounds of potatoes that are organic from their farm, supporting local farmers. And what I pay, I mean, that's just one of the things, for example, but what I pay for the whole 20 weeks of my CSA is so much more affordable than if I were to go to the store. So it's just kind of like, you know, okay, it's a drop more expensive, but you're investing in your health. But there are ways you can definitely like do it on a budget.
Love these tips.
Even like BJ, like stores like BJ's and Costco and like these big bulk places have so much organic, have so much like, have all these ingredients that I use all the time that I'm like, amazing. They have like big things of avocado oil, like the brands that I trust for so much cheaper. I'm like, yes, we're making a change. They're listening, you know?
Yeah, I think the last couple of years, even like the last 2 years, maybe have been so many things have changed in the food industry, and so much of the organic stuff has gotten into normal grocery stores and so much easier to find all these things, and that's just so great.
Yeah, and then you know, the crazier you get into the world, the more you like, it's kind of like the more you know, the worse it is, or the more you know, the better it is, but whichever take you on, because then you're like, okay, what does organic really mean? And it's everything that's organic, great. And you can really make yourself crazy. But you know what? Like at the bottom line for budget friendly talk, it's like you do the best you can. Like, so if you're not going to buy everything organic, definitely buy your strawberries organic, or, you know, like, or XYZ, and be like, okay, you don't need to buy organic bananas maybe, or organic avocados. Like, so it's just about figuring out what you can, like, what could be maintainable and doable for your lifestyle that's going to be long lasting and not just like a 30-day fad quick thing.
Yeah. And I think it's a process too. Like you don't need to swap everything in your home from one day to another, which may feel overwhelming and expensive, but like every time something you need to replace a product that you had before, choose a more organic or more natural version of it.
Totally. Like, especially spices, right? It's like, okay, you're not going to throw out your whole spice drawer and then buy all fresh organic spices. But when something runs out, it's like, okay, I'm going to make a better choice. Or when your ketchup runs out, you're like, okay, let me read labels. Why does my ketchup have high fructose corn syrup? Okay, I'm going to buy a better option, like, and which might be 50 cents more, $1 more max. And it's like, but I'm making a better choice for my health.
Yeah. Beautiful. So you're also big on safer home products and skincare, right? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I got into that, well, over 2 years ago now, but you know, I have heavy metal stuff going on. I have my own plethora of my own stuff going on. So for me, it's like super, and the MTHFR gene mutation, so I don't detox as well as other people may. And so for me personally, it was important that I like look into what I'm putting on my body, my skin, which is our biggest organ. So it's actually my husband who said to me 3 years ago, he's like, what is in this Dove body wash that we're using? Like, what are these ingredients? And I was like, I don't know. So I was like, I need to like look into this stuff because I'm eating clean, I'm doing things right. But then there's this whole other element of like, what we put in our bodies, but also what we put on our bodies and what we use in our environment and in our home that matters. And it's sad that it's not regulated, especially in the States. It's like, it's so sad. And it's like, you can't trust what's being sold to you all the time, but there are brands that are doing it better and that are making waves in the industry. So I'm like beyond passionate about working with them and supporting those kind of companies, and just people doing it right and making changes. But so like laundry detergent and toothpaste and deodorant, oh my gosh, deodorant, such a big one, to body wash and makeup and skincare and all of that and nail polish and like I have a whole kit that I bring to the nail salon and people are like, do they care? I'm like, no, why would they care? They're getting paid the same amount and they don't have to use their own products. And so I just I just have no shame in that. So I just like bring my own safer stuff wherever I go, and you do the best you can. I dye my hair. This is some things that you just do the best you can with, but it's just like with the food, it like takes time and you're like, okay, next time I go for my body wash, let me look at what's in that. Like if I can't read any of the ingredients, maybe I should reconsider that because there are healthier options out there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think so many people care about everything being organic that they put in their bodies, and then they completely forget about the toxins they put on their skin. And like you said, our skin is an organ, and it really, it absorbs everything we put on the skin. So
and right into the gut. So that's like so crazy and huge. It's like it absorbs right into your body, right into your gut. So what you put on your body almost matters just as much as what you put in it. So it's like so crazy.
Does.
Yeah. And then, but then there's like people like, and see, that's the thing, like safer ingredients right now and safer skincare is a little more expensive. It's like, I would say competitive to like department store prices, which is more pricey than like going to, like a local pharmacy, like a CVS or something like that. But it's important. And the more that we want it and the more demand we put out there for it, the more prices are going to come down, just like with organic and grass-fed and all that kind of stuff. So it's important. It's so important.
And I'm really glad that we have better regulations in Europe. But I
know you guys are so lucky.
Still here, I think as a consumer, it's your responsibility what you buy. So just check the labels and ask for transparency.
I love the way you said that. Like it's our responsibility. Period.
Yeah, it's like you only have one body. There is no replacement.
And like it breaks my heart, and not to get all sad and like make it all dark, but the amount of cancer and all these hormone issues and all these autoimmune diseases and all these things popping up every single day, it's like there has to, like, not to say that some of these things aren't genetic and all that, but a lot of it is like, let's think about the preventative measures. Like, what could we do? Like the stuff I was eating when I was younger, the stuff I was putting on my body, the aluminum I was putting on my underarms when I was starting at such a young age, and I can't detox that stuff. Some people can, just I can't. So my aluminum's super high from all the years I was putting on aluminum, like under my underarms. And it's like, okay, this, we need to be a little more aware and have the responsibility. I love that. I'm going to use that.
Yes, do it.
I'm doing it. We need to take our own responsibility. I love that.
Yes, we vote with our dollars as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would love to talk a little bit more about your personal development. So over the years of building your business and creating, going from your first Instagram to now having your cookbook and your huge brand, what would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned on this journey?
Well, one, when I started out, I was like, okay, this is just going to be a hobby. I'm going to do it like the cheapest way possible. And then that kind of like bit me in the But years later, because then I had to switch everything over from WordPress.com to WordPress.org and ended up being a whole to-do. So like, if I was going to say to somebody starting out, just like invest a little bit of money to do it right from the beginning. But it's not really like a lesson in personal development. That was just a random tidbit.
A business lesson for sure.
Just a business tidbit that flew out of my mouth. But personal development, I mean, man, it's changed so much for me because I was a teacher. I was an elementary art teacher. I was doing this as a hobby and I was just so passionate about it. I was spending every waking hour working on Lexi's Kitchen, creating recipes, creating content, and just kind of putting myself out there. And now that then I got my book deal and working on that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, writing a book and the editing process and getting it out there and the stress of like, I always say like, and some of my author friends say, it's like, you go through this like author depression because you're like, okay, I wrote this. I think it's great. Wait, nobody's seen it. Wait, I turned it in. I can't edit it anymore. Like this is final. And then it comes out and you're like, I hope people like it. What if they hate it? What if there's not enough this in it? So it's like this whole like whirlwind emotionally. So for me, like personal development wise, was also figuring out some balance because Lexi's Kitchen was my hobby, then became my business. And so it doesn't feel like a job, which I'm so grateful for, but it's like that I could just work all the time. It's like, why would I read a book when I could just do more Lexi's Kitchen stuff? So for me, part of my personal development in my business is finding time for myself, for my family, and having some balance, which is a lot harder than you think, especially when you're working from home. It's tough. But I feel like that has been a huge part of it. But in terms of like business and things that I've learned, it's just trusting your gut. And I know that sounds so simple, but like sometimes you just get like a really icky feeling from like a client or someone that you think you're going to bring on board. Like I have a whole team now. I have someone that works with me in the kitchen. I have someone that works with me on social media. I have a branding person that I work with and consult with. Like I have all these different avenues. And it's like, you need to trust your gut when something just doesn't feel right. And like turning down things, like it's so much more important to put out content that is quality, not quantity, and that you feel good about because your readers and people will see through it, So like I turn down so much work, and turning down money stinks. Like, especially when you're like, that's really good money and I could really use that. But you're like, that just doesn't feel right. That does not feel on brand or good, So I think it's like listening to your intuition there. And then, reading and getting into the meditation world and focusing on myself and figuring out why I tick the way I tick and why I do the things that I do. And how can that help other people? Or how does that make me vulnerable? Or how does that make me, just random things. And you're like, okay, I haven't been putting myself out there like that. Why? So just kind of diving deep into yourself at some point. But in terms of business stuff, it's like listening to your gut instincts. Normally the first time, like if you're like right away, like, ooh, that doesn't feel right, and then you do it, I always have regretted that. I'm always like, I should not have done that.
Yeah, I can so resonate with you. There's a couple of decisions that I've taken in the last few months where that didn't turn out well. And I did know from the beginning, but so like, yeah, but that's what people do. Like, that's the strategy. That's what I should do. And you just end up getting to know yourself better. And you're like, oh, I should have listened to my gut feeling. That was just so right.
I have one more, like just going off of that is also the whole comparison game. I mean, how easy is it? Forget being bloggers or influencers or authors or whatever, like being on social media and seeing people's perfect lives. And you're like, wait, oh no, if I do a social media detox for a weekend and I take off for the weekend, but then all these other people are doing everything and look what they're doing and look what they're doing. And like this whole comparison game, or like, if you're not in this business world, look how pretty they look how perfect their life is, look how beautiful their family is. It's like you are seeing a curated version of exactly what they want you to see. Like they are not seeing me looking like rolling out of bed looking the worst I've ever looked. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to be a little more transparent about it, but it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there when you're like, when we're all insecure in our own ways, but playing this comparison game where you're like, oh, I should be doing that. Well, that's what they're doing. And that's what, that's the strategy. And it's like, well, maybe that strategy doesn't work for me. And maybe I could beat to my own drum and it will still work out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to just take that risk. But then in the comparison game of just being like, oh my gosh, they're so pretty. It's like, it's not all it seems to be. Everyone has their, can I curse?
Yeah, of course. Say
everyone has their shit. Like, if you see someone whose Instagram feed is the most perfect thing ever and they never talk about anything going wrong, like, it's just not true. Like, everyone has stuff they're dealing with, whether, it's like, whether it's more severe health stuff or they just are self-conscious about their skin or XYZ, or like their kids having temper tantrums every day. They're not going to show you that. You know what I mean? Because that's not fun.
Yeah. And also it's not inspiring. Like I've talked a lot about this stuff, like what do you share and what don't you share? And I think it's also, I try to put out beautiful photos and I try to put out content that is valuable and that helps other people and that inspires them. And yes, I do share my stories, but I don't share like, oh, today I'm having a really bad day and it sucks and I don't know how to get out of it. And like, I just want this day to be over. Like sometimes I do have days like that, but just me sharing that wouldn't help anyone or wouldn't support anyone's development. So.
Right. But something that I've learned recently is that when I share like, hey, I'm waiting in my therapist's office, like break the stigma, like let's open this discussion up that therapy shouldn't be like something weird that you feel weird about going to or talking about. People are like, thank you. Thank you for getting vulnerable and sharing that, because, there's a part that it's like aspirational and people are like looking up to you and want everything to look amazing and perfect and beautiful. But then what I notice is that when I post something that's like not super awesome, like quality or whatever, or just like real life, people are like, I can resonate with you. You're a human. Your pantry and your fridge is not the most perfect looking thing all the time. And like, I always try to like, when I do a fridge picture or something and it looks, I have to say I only do that when like my fridge looks immaculate, which is like not that often. And then I'm like, just so you know, it will not look like this tomorrow, because like, come on, whose fridge is that perfect? Well, maybe some people's, but mine isn't. And I just think that's real life. And like, there has to be like a little, I feel like it's our responsibility. And this is something I'm trying so much more to do, even though it's like vulnerable, is to put myself out there in a little more vulnerable way. That's not, that's not like super down and not like making people depressed or by any means or anything like that. But that's like, hey, I'm a real person too. If you're having a bad day, I feel you. Not every day is awesome. Like I'm not having the best morning, but here's what we're going to do to snap out of it. And then you can encourage them positively in that way. But it's hard. I think it's hard to see people so perfect on Instagram all the time. And I'm guilty of that for sure. I'm like, well, I can't post anything not perfect on my feed. And I've started to, because I'm like, you know what? This is what it really looks like,
Yeah. And I think it just shows that like you and I, we're just normal human beings. We're not perfect and we do our best to help others. But
gosh.
Like,
and isn't that the funniest? Like I'll get comments on my Instagram or on my blog comments and it will be so nasty. And then I write back like a nice message, and so many people write back and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was in a bad mood when I wrote that. I never expected you to respond. It's like people don't always realize that there's like a human behind the blog or behind the podcast or behind the Instagram or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I'm a real human that gets sad when you write something that's nasty for no reason. It's like Himalayan sea salt. How fucking pretentious can you be? It's like, okay, you can use whatever salt you want. You don't have to be nasty.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes people forget that we're humans too, and we are certainly not perfect.
We are not.
Yeah.
When we started this conversation, you told me that you travel all the time, and I would love to know if you've ever had a very transformational travel experience where you really learned something.
So lately I've been traveling a lot for work, just throughout the US. But we went to Morocco and Italy last year. Morocco in November, so a year ago, and then Italy, oh, April of this year. And that was my first time going to Europe. And I studied art history. I studied art. I was like, I could never afford to go to Florence and Italy, where all, like when I was younger. So that was like such an experience for me because I was like, I never thought I would go. It just, it like opened my heart because I was like, wow, I got there, like, it's sometimes I feel like exactly like we were talking about on Instagram. It's like, oh, she's on this fancy trip. No, I worked my butt off to get there. You know what I mean? But that trip was really amazing, just personally for me. But then Morocco was really interesting because I had never been to a place that, like a lot of people had said to me before, they were like, it's a good thing you're going with your husband and you're not walking around the streets there alone as a woman. And I was like, really? Like, ooh, I was kind of like a little nervous and taken back, but it was such a cool experience. And I loved it being there so much and like seeing the different culture and just the food and meeting the people. I mean, that's my favorite part of traveling internationally is like, we were in a taxi going to dinner in Morocco, and this girl from our hotel, she was alone. She was going to the same restaurant. So we're like, do you want to join us for dinner? And then we like had a 5-hour dinner and we were drinking wine and talking and just about life. And it was like so cool. It was just like so much fun. And that happened also another time in Morocco and in Italy where we just ended up like two people sitting at the table next to us. We just kind of joined tables and met these new people from all over the world and just had these such different experiences that were just totally cool and different. And so those two trips kind of stand out to me. I mean, I travel a lot, like I said, within the US and just random and with my blogger friends, which is amazing because they're amazing people who inspire me and lift me up all the time and are so supportive. And we just kind of like, I always describe it as like we're coworkers, but we work for ourselves. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But those trips were really, really cool. Especially I was dealing with some emotional and health stuff at that point. And I was like, wasn't sure how much I was going to be able to do and I was able to do. So it was just like all around those trips were super awesome.
Yeah, traveling is so refreshing and you meet new people and you just see life or the world with different eyes. And I love that you kind of made this happen for you because I feel like that's exactly what we need. What we need to do is work hard and work for our dreams. If your dream is to travel to whatever country, then do whatever it takes to get there. And don't just wait for it to fall into your lap.
Totally, yeah. I'm not someone that like needs to travel. Like I don't have like the crazy travel bug like all the time, but I'm definitely like, okay, especially before I think about starting a family, I'm like, I need to get here, here, and here. How am I going to do that? But I need to come visit you.
Yes.
Just inviting myself to your house.
Switzerland is so beautiful now. I love fall. I love spring too. If you love snow, you can come in winter.
No, I don't. I don't know why. I don't know why I live where I live.
Yeah, maybe in spring.
Yeah, okay. I'm coming. It's done.
What is your dream destination where you want to travel to?
Well, it's not like right now I have like Greece on my mind. I just like, for some reason, I need to go to Greece. Have you been?
Yeah, I was just there with my mastermind clients.
Was it great?
It was so amazing. I just love Greece.
And you know what people say, like one aside from the food being like so amazing and fresh, but like maybe don't, like some people say like don't go to like the super touristy, like crazy huge places. Like go to like the smaller places that are just like have so much culture. And like I love that. I'm just like, let me go to like the most hole in the wall, like divey family run restaurant and just like dive into the culture, So Greece is like I want to go there this summer, like for my birthday.
Oh, beautiful.
So that's like my right now travel thing, but that's not obviously like I don't know. I'm sure there's so many more that I have like, oh, I want to go here. I want to do this at this place. But right now I just have Greece on the mind.
That sounds good. What does living a glowing life mean to you personally?
Wow, I love that question. I want to hear what your answer is too after I answer mine. I think it's a few components of mindset, like emotional and mental, like health and all that stuff, what you put in and on your body. So, like having the whole kind of picture. So, you have like some balance with your personal and work life. You have your, like, you're nourishing your body from the inside and you're fueling it with things that are going to make you thrive and have energy and feel great. You're putting things on your skin that you can feel good about and trust. You're looking at your environment, all that kind of stuff. That's what I think of it. I mean, the whole picture of just all those different aspects coming together to have like a glowy, thriving life.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think it's that feeling when you wake up in the morning and you're just so excited for your life because you're doing amazing things. You're surrounded by the most loving people. And I think another aspect of glowing life for me is also taking care of our planet. So
Mm-hmm.
not just like think about what we put in our bodies and what we put on our bodies, but also how much waste are we producing and how
Oh my
much
gosh,
chemicals
totally.
are we putting into all the plants and all the things that we.
Totally. Yes. That's such a good point that you brought up. And like reducing plastic in our homes. I'm like things that you're gonna feel good about, but that also benefit the like larger picture. I feel like is so important and meaningful and all of that. And something and you brought up like, waking up every morning and feeling good, like awesome about what you're doing, ready to wake up and go. And I've talked about this with a few friends who aren't like super happy in their jobs, but that doesn't mean you can't still wake up and be passionate about like something else. Like, all right, I have
Right.
this workout class scheduled and I feel really good about it. Or I went to therapy yesterday and I feel really good right now in my soul or like in my heart. And so like you can it doesn't mean you don't have to be like, this huge entrepreneur doing all these different things to wake up and feel like a rock star.
Right.
And I feel like some people are like, well, I'm not doing that. And it's like, you're waking up and taking care of your family and you're, putting mouths on tables, you're volunteering, you're giving back. Like there's so many different ways where you can fill that bucket, that emotional bucket, which I feel like is important to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about self-care a little bit and like taking the time and feeling balanced. What is your non-negotiable self-care that you do every day?
It's so hard. Honestly, let me tell you, just like not to ramble again, but I love to talk. When I left my teaching job, it was right when I got my book deal. And in hindsight, I should have given myself a year of like blogging full time before I wrote the book because I dove into blogging full time, writing this book. And I was like a Looney Tune. Like I woke up, rolled out of bed in pajamas, and just worked. And from the second I got up, on my phone, on my computer all day, super unhealthy. And it took me a year. I still don't know if I have nailed it. Like working from home and being like, well, why would I shower? I showered yesterday. I'm like, no one's seeing me today. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I going to put on jeans? I hate jeans. I'm like, no one's seeing me. That's just like my backstory on how hard it has been to find work-life balance and self-care that like I could do every day. But for me, it's like waking up and some of it's super simple. It's like having my coffee or my water or whatever I wake up and have in the morning without my phone. That's like one small thing. For me, it's going to therapy once a week. It's doing some sort of exercise. I'm not like a crazy like 6 days a week exercise person, but like exercising a few times a week and just moving, period. Just getting out and moving, shutting off at night when my husband gets home and not being on social media. Like having a time where I say, no, this is it. Like I need family time and so like that's been non-negotiable. And then just like, taking time, simple things like putting on a face mask, going in the sauna. We have a sauna, but just like taking some time, like, okay, my body's feeling like I need to do this right now. So taking a step back and being like, how am I fitting this into my day today? Period.
Love that. I dream of having my own sauna at home.
We bought it on Amazon. It's an infrared, like low EMF sauna, and it plugs into the wall. It's like a wooden thing. It's like really nice. It's in our basement. It was like $1,000. I mean, I know that's not cheap, but we used it all the time. And when you see these places that have like, come do a sauna for 30 minutes for like $40, at least here in the States, that's what it is. I'm like that is so rude.
You better
and it's
have
like,
your own.
And like people sweat and it's gross. So I like loved having our own. And it wasn't like this whole ordeal. We like literally bought it on Amazon and plugged it into the wall. It's like amazing.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple of quick questions before we wrap up.
Okay.
What is your favorite healthy food?
Oh my gosh, I have to pick one?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a few, but they're all kind of similar.
Okay.
Like ginger root and like turmeric and like the like veggies and like putting all that into like a smoothie or juice or things, or just like cooking like kale with like fresh garlic, kind of like all those like fresh ingredients that are superfoods and really nourishing for your body and healing and all that kind of stuff. So like it's not really a food, but like
it's like everything.
It's like but it's like ginger, turmeric, fresh garlic, like those kinds of like really like heavy hitters that are like boosting your immune system. All of that like are my jam because I could just throw them into basically everything. Like a cuisine that I make when I don't want to make dinner, like I'll always go like taco night, and then you can have all the veggies and all the fixins, and I can make, you know, my easy turkey taco meat or like taco meat, or I can make a vegetarian, or I could do whatever and have like a whole taco bar. That's kind of like my go-to meal because it's simple and it's easy and it's like always delicious and good quality ingredients. So in terms of like a meal, I love a good healthy taco night, lettuce wrap tacos, or all that kind of stuff, or taco salads. So much you could do with it. But so okay, I gave two options.
Oh, love it. Can you
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I know. Can you just cook dinner for me?
Some nights I'm like, you know, I'll post something on Instagram and like, we'll be like, he'll text me. It's like, oh, that's what's for dinner. I'm like, nope, I don't feel like cooking tonight. We're ordering sushi. So that's what I want people. That's what I like people to hear. Like, I don't eat. People are like, oh my gosh, you eat these glamorous dinners every night. I'm like, no. There's plenty of nights where I'm like, I have tested gluten-free, whatever, sugar cookies all day long. I'm not cooking. That's it. So it's not all glamorous.
Okay. What is your favorite book that you think everyone should read? Obviously, besides your own book.
Have you read How to Win Friends and Influence People?
I have.
I really love that book. And some people don't love it because they're like, it's kind of feels a little icky in some ways, but it doesn't for me, because I feel like for me, it was like a little like human nature and kind of seeing how people tick and how you can be a good person for other people, or how you can respond to other people in a way that will make them feel good or make them thrive, or how you can just have good like quality interactions. And I just feel like I learned a lot from that book. Oh man, there's so many. I mean, but I'm going to go with that
let's just stick to one. And we'll put it in the show notes as well if anyone wants to check it out.
It's a good one.
What are 3 things that you're grateful for today, Lexi?
Oh, I love that. I have a gratitude journal that I write in the mornings. Today, I'm grateful that I woke up, I can walk, I can talk, I can like live my life. I'm healthy for the most part. So always grateful for that. Grateful for my family, my nanny, my grandma. She's 94 and she's having some health stuff. So I'm just grateful for her and her positive outlook and being able to see her this weekend. I'm going to see her this weekend. So I'm grateful for that. And I am grateful that it's a sunny, beautiful day. It might be a little chilly, but I'm going to get outside. I'm actually chopping my hair today.
Ooh.
Like I'm chopping it. It's going to be short and different. But so I'm not grateful for that, but I'm grateful that it's a beautiful day and I'm going to get outside, and just grateful for nature today.
Beautiful. If there was one thing that everyone can do to get closer to like a clean life, what would you tell them?
Read labels. look at what's in the products that you're buying for your food and what you're putting on your body. And like my rule of thumb is like, if something seems simple but has like 35 ingredients and I can't read or pronounce any of them, I'm not going to buy that one. But just like reading labels so you can be aware.
Love that. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners today?
Well, stay tuned. We have some crazy things coming with this brand and expansion and all sorts of cool things to better the experience for our readers and give them more content that will resonate with them and or with you all and inspire you hopefully inside and outside of the kitchen and all that kind of good stuff. So just stay tuned because I'm so excited. We have a lot of cool and scary for someone who's a control freak and exciting things in the works. So just so excited. And I'm so excited that I got to chat with you.
Yes, me
and
too.
I'm coming to visit. So
yes. Let's talk about this after. How can people find you online?
Okay, so Lexis Clean Kitchen everywhere. LexisCleanKitchen.com, Lexis Clean Kitchen on Instagram, Lexis Clean Kitchen on YouTube, Twitter. It's Lexis Clean Kitchen because there's no room for the EN. Same on Pinterest. So you just start typing Lexis Clean and it will start popping up for you.
Perfect. We will share all your links in the show notes as well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your clean living lifestyle all your tips with us.
Thank you for having me. I hope it was a good one.
Yes. And I really just love everything we talked about. So it's been so great to speak with you. I am so inspired to start eating cleaner now, and I hope you really learned a lot from this episode with Lexi today. If you loved it as well, please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave me a review so that even more people can listen to these stories that Lexi and I shared today. For everything we mentioned in today's episode, you can go check out the show notes at martinafink.com/podcast/53. Let's connect on social media. I would love to have you on there. You can find me at Martina Glows on Instagram and on Facebook. And if there's anyone in your life that you think could benefit from this clean living and clean eating episode, please send it to them right now. Thank you so much for being here today and for listening to our conversation. We really hope that this helps you feel inspired and live an even more glowing life. You deserve to feel healthy, confident, empowered, and beautiful.